you meet all these other businesses at these shows, and you just get along. You're sharing interests. You're even if you're competing for customers, even if you have very competitive products, everybody's very nice. Everybody's very welcoming. We've gotten some of our best advice from businesses that I would consider competitors.
Keep it nerdy. Keep it nerdy. Keep it real nerdy. Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work. Life's a game, so I'ma take my turn. Nerds deserve to put their passion first. Let them rap a verse so they can all be heard.
Yeah, my nerdy passion basically is drawing.
Correct. I'm a breeder of tarantulas, importing tarantulas and some other critters.
I am a harpist. I do mainly Celtic harp, video game songs, songs from nerdy TV shows.
Obviously, I'm big on Star Trek.
It is creature design, fantastical biological creations out of watercolor.
We are dice retailers.
Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work. Life's a game, so I'ma take my turn. Nerds deserve to put their passion first, so let them rap a verse so they can all be heard.
Welcome to Nerdpreneur, where we have fun conversations with people making money with their nerdy passion. My name is Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Frank.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest, Ryan from Hexwood Forge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
We're excited to have you here. So, Ryan, what is your nerdy passion?
I gotta say, tabletop gaming accessories.
That's awesome. So, tabletop gaming accessories, can you give us a few examples for people who may be not in the know? What kind of stuff do you guys make?
Sure, yeah. We make a lot of tools for games like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu. There's so many RPGs out there, and we try to hit on most of them if we can.
So do you make dice too, or would that be considered an accessory?
It would be. We work with dice makers. We don't make dice in-house. A lot of the stuff that we make tends to be laser engraved, things like spell templates, combat risers, dice trackers, things like that.
That's very cool. So this would be things to enhance the overall gaming experience for people playing in tabletop, right?
Yeah. Things to make the game easier, more fun, more immersive. Tabletop gaming is such a immersive and important experience for so many people that anything to make it easier to jump into, because it tends to be a very intimidating, I think, hobby to approach. And also just an intimidating hobby to stay involved in. So anything we can do to make that process of entry or the process of kind of continuing in that hobby easier for people is huge for us.
I also wanted to point out that on your website, you have a category that I love called Game Room Goods. And I had to click on it because it's, you've got your nerdy flasks, your fantasy maps, these adorable luggage tags and some wall decor. Like, it goes above and beyond just the tabletop role-playing accessories I find when I look at your website. I mean, sure, those are a big deal, but there's all kinds of stuff on here. And what ties them all together?
I like the nerdy flasks personally.
Yeah.
Maybe that says too much about me, but I like the nerdy flasks.
I don't blame you. And the flasks come with cocktail recipes. That was a big thing for us too.
Nice.
So I guess the thing that ties it all together is really just us. The shop is a way for us to follow our interests wherever they lead. All the stuff that we make, that's tabletop gaming tools and accessories. That's stuff that we really made for us first. And then we got some great feedback on, listed it for sale. It took off. And it's the same thing with what you're looking at in the Game Room Goods. Everything there started as either gifts for friends or things that we wanted to have in our own house. So, it's really just, I guess the shop is really just us putting ourselves out there and trying to make connections with people based on what we find enjoyable, what we'd like to see.
This really is a, nerdy passion to real business kind of story, because you guys, it sounds to me like you just take whatever you think is awesome and would be cool to use or you found useful. And that's how you make your product choices, in terms 100%. Of what to bring out. I'm curious, was there anything in there that you guys really loved that you decided to discontinue because it didn't sell? Or is there stuff that you wound up, being surprised sold so well?
Oh, definitely both. Yeah. We've had a couple of things over the years that we were really excited about. We've got still on the website, Fantasy Tavern Cozies. As we went on a trip to New Orleans, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, and a bunch of the bars that we stopped at in downtown, they'd have cozies that have like the logo of the bar on it. And that's a pretty standard thing you find anywhere. And we're like, oh, that would be so much fun to have a cozy from the Mos Eisley Cantina or the Three Broomsticks or something like that. We thought it was a really fun idea. It's not turned around in as exciting of a way as we thought. I think that's happened before.
I feel like that might be, I don't know your audience. I don't know the demographics and the stats that you get on the back end there, but I know that you guys go up and down the West Coast for different trade shows. That's my day job coming through here for different cons and expos. And you've got, you get people in a relatively cold part of the world. It's not super cold, not super hot, but, people are, I feel like we're more easygoing about our drink getting to quote unquote room temperature if it's already just kind of cool outside.
Definitely could be. And we've had similar things in the past where we thought things were going to blow up and didn't. We have actually one of our best sellers right now originally didn't sell very well at all. It was our combat risers. They're kind of a snap together thing to show the elevation of flying creatures in tabletop games. Those they were selling all right online. We take them to the live shows, we take them to the cons and the expos, and we almost dropped them from our product line after a few shows just because they weren't selling. But we were confident enough in them. We're like, okay, we'll try something new. We'll try a different display. We think maybe they're not showing off very well. Fix the problem. The problem was we weren't giving them enough space on the table. We weren't really describing what they were. And people thought that they were displays for other products that weren't there. So, some of it's, not necessarily just the product if something doesn't work out. Sometimes it's just how you're showing it off, how you're describing it or whatnot.
Crazy. The marketing matters.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Weird. It's
got to tell that to more of the C-suite at big companies. Marketing matters. Come on, people.
Yeah.
So, how did it all really start? We kind of jumped in just nerding out about your products that you make, but what really your website describes an interesting story, and I would love it if you could just kind of tell us how Hexwood Forge came to be.
It's a little bit interesting is a great word for it, I think. So my partner, we've been married for, I should know this offhand, 11 years. And
she's going to listen to this and come back at you.
She is. I guarantee she's in the other room on the phone with somebody being like, what did you just say?
We can edit this, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely should, yeah. We've definitely been married for 11 years, no question. And back in 2014, she started a business on her own. We were living up in Anchorage at the time. And it was kind of like a crafts and cosplay business, much more, a lot more like sewing and, fabric goods oriented than what we're doing right now. And that company, the business that she started went great. In fact, it went a little too well. And the way that she had built the business was very create on demand. We'd get an order come in, or she would get an order come in. I wasn't really a part of it yet. She would get an order come in. She would create what they asked for, send it off. It's great if it's a, hobby, but as soon as it starts ramping up at all, it becomes overwhelming. So she ran that for, I want to say 3 or 4 years until it got a little out of control. She has a full-time job as a flight attendant. So couldn't balance both of those things, couldn't justify the side hobby anymore. So she put that on indefinite hiatus. It wasn't quite, we're shutting it down. It was more of a, hey, we need to reapproach this. We're just going to put it on the back burner. We'll think about it next year or the year after or whatnot. Well, 1 year turned into 3 years, turned into 5 years. And then COVID comes around and we're stuck in the house. My partner's, she has no kidney. She's high risk because of that. Or no spleen. I'm sorry. We've been married for 11 years. She doesn't have a spleen. All things that I know really, really well. She doesn't have a spleen. She's high risk because of that. So we're locked in the house for literally 1 week shy of a year. During that time, we're big DIYers. We're big hobbyers. We're exploring everything from, God, it was pottery to beer brewing. It's just a matter of what's going to keep us busy this week. And one of the things that popped up was the laser engraving. This is a really interesting thing. We love the idea. Well, maybe since this machine is so expensive, we can justify jumping into it by reopening the shop that she had and selling some things from the laser engraver, just enough to pay off the machine. And that's kind of where it started. From there, it obviously ramped up very quickly and well beyond our original expectations. But that's kind of the source of it, was both of us being like, oh, we really want this toy. How can we justify picking up another hobby?
We heard so many people that had started businesses out of necessity or boredom in the pandemic. And honestly, that's been a lot of the interviews we've wound up finding, because now those people do this full time. Like, is this your full-time gig for what you guys do?
It is for me. Yeah. Kess still works as a flight attendant. She still does that full time, that's a crazy job. I'll let her talk to how crazy that job is. But for me, Hexwood Forge is my full-time job.
Nice. And let me ask you, what was the moment you realized that it was actually viable to not just pay off your laser etching machine, but actually make this into a full-time business?
Oh, for a while when we first opened, and it was still a let's pay off the laser machine, we were selling what we thought people were buying. If you type into Google or Etsy or wherever, laser engraving, and the things that pop up, we saw those and we're like, oh, that must be what people are buying. In hindsight, that's, we're seeing the most popular things people are buying. We're seeing the most competitive markets when you do that. But at the time, we thought, well, that's what we should make. So we started off with really generic, home goods, trivets, coasters, I can't even remember some of it, journals and really, generic engravings on there too, because we were trying to appeal to a really wide audience. And those sold fine. We paid off the machine in a few months. It was going fine. But in the background, for us, we're using the machine for the things that we originally wanted to buy it for. We're making things around the house. We're making, as it turns out, a lot of things for our Dungeons and Dragons game. And as we made those things, and as we kind of, I hesitate to say perfected, but as we kind of kept creating newer, better iterations of those tools and bringing them to the table, we would find that they worked really well and people were really excited about them. And then it's like, well, why not list it with everything else that we're selling online? Those ended up taking off. And within a couple of weeks of listing a few of those products, we had made more than we had in the prior 6 months of selling the generic home goods and everything. And that was kind of the moment for us that we realized, oh, we could really do this. This doesn't have to be just a pay off the machine. This could be an us focusing on things that we're really passionate about, things that we actually use, and actually make some money off of them. At the time, I was a substitute teacher. It's not, that doesn't pay particularly well. So it's, the idea of having something that was more of a passion project that potentially could, help us financially just as much, if not more, was really appealing.
I'm hearing that there is normally folks, when they dive into a business idea, they're pretty scared about a lot of things. I haven't heard a lot of fear. I've heard more about like, oh, this would be fun if we could pay off the laser machine, or, oh, this is a great opportunity. And I'm curious, what were there some fears that you two had around this, or was it all just like the grass is greener?
No, there were definitely fears, but I think that the fears were, I don't know. They were lessened by just the way that we did it. We didn't jump into it originally thinking this was going to be a full-time job. This was going to be a, six-figure business. That wasn't what we originally started with. That wasn't the idea. And that idea to start with is scary. I think if we had started from that point thinking, okay, we're going to do this and this is going to be our livelihood and we need this to work, that's a scary thing. And that's how a lot of businesses do start. For us, I think it was softened by the fact that there were small steps mentally, I would say, to get us to the point that we really started to take it as a real business. But that's not to say that there weren't fears. Even that original purchase of, I don't remember how many thousands of dollars that first machine was, but I remember thinking, well, we really can't afford that. So we're kind of even then gambling a little bit on being able to make the side hobby work. But then once we did start really treating it, or realizing, I guess, that it was a business, that there were long-term benefits to be had as we grew, and we started taking more risks and exploring new markets and new conventions and things like that. Definitely there have been some moment of fears. In fact, just last year, it was when we met you guys at PAX West.
Right.
That show, the booth costs at that show are insane. That's almost by a factor of 100% the most expensive show we've ever vended at.
Really?
Yeah. I want to say our booth there, we had a double, we had a corner. So we weren't doing the smallest.
You were pretty early too. When we walk in, you were the first booth that day that we were like, let's talk to them.
Yeah, we're right up front.
You were
that
right
was just
there.
Luck. Yeah. But that booth, I want to say, cost us almost $6,000. It
for
was
the 4
expensive.
days.
For the 4 days. Worked out. It's a great show. We did really well. It was very worth it. But at the time, the most expensive show we've done up to that point is maybe $1,200.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of taking risks, and there was a huge amount of fear with that. It's like, I guess we're just going to have to go for it.
But it sounds like calculated risks too.
Mm-hmm.
We talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, but they wind up, so many of them, at least in the hobby niches and the nerdy niches that we talk to, they don't burn the bridges and quit their job and go all in on this idea. Almost always it's some form of, testing, iterating, and kind of a slow burn till they can make that leap to becoming full-time in this business. They take progressively bigger and bigger steps. And many times it is that moment where you say, am I going to invest in this next show? And you mentioned conventions were a very big part of I guess, what you've done here. Was that the way you were selling your product initially in those first stages, was going to cons, or was it through some other means like online traffic that you started to find the concept and have it actually be proven?
We started online. We started through Etsy. A lot of small businesses, handmade businesses start through Etsy. And that went really well for us, but the jumping to in-person, going to conventions and craft fairs and whatnot, that's when we really saw the brand to begin to grow and take on a life of its own. Selling online, you maybe get repeat customers. You maybe get a little bit of feedback through reviews. There's maybe a little bit of conversation with customers through messaging requests, custom orders, whatnot. But all that pales in comparison to the sort of community you'll find at the live shows. We didn't realize that was going to be the case. We didn't go into it expecting that. But when we started doing those live shows, that's when we really saw, like I said, the brand started to take on a life of its own. We started to see people come by the booth, say what they liked, say what they didn't, say what they were looking for. Just these really organic conversations. I credit a lot of our growth to the experiences we had once we kind of breached that barrier into live events.
Wow. So it was the in-person events that you feel like was a real kicking point.
Yeah. And not only do the in-person events kind of, I think, represent the turning point in the growth of our shop, but also it's not just that the in-person events led to more sales, led to more in-person events. They also drastically increased our online sales. We'd go to a show, we'd make some great connections, we'd make some friends, we'd talk to a lot of people, we'd get some cool ideas. And then for weeks or months afterwards, people that we had talked to at these shows would find us online. There'd be an increase in sales. There'd be more conversations. And now we see kind of a community starting to form around the shop, which is it kind of blows our minds a little bit. It's very cool, but it's not something we ever expected, and it's fantastic to see.
Where do you think that comes from? Is it because, like, to me, it seems to me like you are your customer, like you are your avatar, if that makes sense, right? Because you're the nerds who are like, we like this stuff, we use it. You guys want it too. And do you think that that's the main contributor to, like, that gives you that kind of uniqueness in the market that makes people want to say, like, buy from you? Or is there something else there that you think is the magic sauce?
I'd like to think that's a lot of it. I think that people go out, and when you're buying things for especially tabletop gaming, it tends to be you're buying from big companies, you're buying from corporations, you're buying from Hasbro or whatnot. And it's a little impersonal. And there's a lot of those things that come through that people end up getting, and they're like, it doesn't feel like whoever created this or whoever wrote this actually plays the game.
Or cares.
And whatever that game may be. So one of the things we really pride ourselves on is we play with the tools that we sell, and we're very confident that, at least for tables like ours, they work really well. So for sure, I'd like to think that that's part of the draw. I also think that we do a fairly good job of creating a welcoming environment. We have an interesting booth design, I think, that draws the eye. I think there's probably a lot of different factors that lead into it. I'd like to think, though, that the long-term success, the long-term draw, the long-term gravity, I guess, of a community around our brand is because of the usability and the fact that, like you said, we're our own customers. In fact, for almost all of our products, we're our first customers.
Right. You mentioned the community aspect when you started to go to these trade shows. And what is it that you hope to foster in these communities? Because they kind of showed up out of nowhere, or not nowhere. They showed up unexpectedly, really. Like they weren't part of your plan or business plan, and they were a happy realization. So now that you have this community growing, have you two talked about what it is you might want to do with the community or plans?
We've started talking about it a little bit. Part of that, I think that, just because the community is being created or formed around us doesn't necessarily mean that we're in charge of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have the reins of it. We have maybe a hand on the rudder, but when you have a community like that, and I've seen this with other brands, they're going to do their own thing. The people who are interested in that, sorry, I should say the people who are interested in that community, or the people who are a part of that community, are going to communicate about the things they want to communicate about. They're going to share their own interests. So the idea of that we can do what we want with that community is maybe a little outside of what we expect. That said, there are things that we'd like to see, and things we'd like to foster. For us, we have a huge interest in accessibility and being welcoming to people, and not just people outside the hobby, but people inside the hobby as well. There's so many different fans of tabletop gaming that are constantly looking for a place to land, constantly looking for their group, somebody who shares their interests, someone who plays the game they want to play, having a place where people can come and feel very open and communicating what they're looking for and feel like they're not being judged for what have you, is very important to us. And that's more on the social side of things. On the business side of things, the community is a great way for us to kind of, on the business side of things, I'd say that the community is a great way for us to kind of perpetuate the brand, and stay on the radar for people in a way that typically falls to advertising. And it's an alternative to us to advertising. It's very much, promoting word of mouth in a lot of ways and letting that kind of speak for itself.
Do you guys actually advertise, or is it one of those things where you've built most of this on word of mouth? Because it sounds like it's been mainly word of mouth. But
it definitely has been mainly word of mouth. We do advertise. We at least have experimented with it in a couple of different forms. We've experimented with Google Ads. We've experimented with Etsy advertising for a while, and we've had mixed success with both mediums. We're talking about experimenting a little bit with Meta and the ads on Meta. I've heard a lot of businesses have good luck there, but for us, even our advertising successes pale in comparison to what we see when there's a word of mouth campaign that gets moving, or we see a local game store that maybe our products are in, that we see a burst of sales from something like that from these local communities. So yeah, advertising to us can be nice when it works, but it's definitely not something we rely on or really focus too much on.
It's not as exciting as, seeing a store sell out, like, a local business, or, engaging, hearing word of mouth. Oh, people really love this. Like, the ads don't tend to give you that feeling of accomplishment and appreciation for your work in the same way.
Well, and even when the ads work, when we'll have an ad campaign that works, and maybe over a month or a couple of months, we'll see several $100s in sales from an ad campaign that works really well. And I don't know if that's typical for people. That's just our experience. But then we'll have a business reach out to us and say, hey, we had some people come in. They mentioned your products. They seem really cool. We'd love to become a retail partner. We'd love to buy wholesale from you and sell those products in our store. Those sales within just that one word of mouth connection can, just completely eclipse what you'll see from a month or two or three of and that's all, what we've seen as a successful Google campaign or an Etsy campaign. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
I think what I'm hearing is, like, mainly I think your product is really good. And so if you don't have a really good product that people want, those retail campaigns aren't going to come in. People aren't going to talk about your product or share it, but like, you're getting the success because your product is great. And I agree, because we got some of your product while we were at the show. So while we were at PAX West, and I agree, it is awesome. And so what I'm curious about, I wanted to get maybe a little bit into some of the tactics of being successful as a business owner. And this is where I know I like to get a little more granular with things, but you know, when you're trying to sell products at a show, for example, you've done a lot of them, right? Are there things that you learned from a experience point that might be useful for people new wanting to go into a show and actually sell their products that are like, you would say these are now tactics that are part of your checklist of success?
Yeah, you mean like sales tactics? Like
it could be that, or it could be display. It could be setting it up. It could be, do you run campaigns before? Do you do social media? Like, what do you guys do to make a show successful when you're going into a $6,000 investment and you're like, we got to make that back and more? How do you do that beyond just like having a great product?
Yeah, well, I mean, once the panic has subsided from spending that much money. Yeah, I mean, we've found, so running campaigns prior to a big show like that, we don't really see the success from. But we found that at the show, the important thing, the thing that really brings people into the booth is the wow factor, right? When you're there's a couple of different, I guess, tiers of that between the customer and the product. But the very first, I guess, barrier you have to cross is they're walking by your booth. Why do they stop? Why do they turn? Why do they look? Why do they seem interested? And so you want to have an overall vibe. You want to have something that catches the eye. You either want to have a graphic, a visual, an ambience, or you want to have what you're selling so obvious, so out there. And there's a lot of shops that do that well. That tends to work really well, I think, with shops that sell one or two things. With our shop, we don't just sell one or two things. We sell quite a few things. So for us, we go really hard on just having an eye-catching booth design, just something that's intriguing and people are interested in. Then once you have somebody in the booth, then it comes down to, in our experience, the display, the way that you're showing off the product, making sure it's understandable. So what I said before about the combat risers, people didn't understand what they were. We would put them up on a display. We would say, we'd have a little sign underneath them that said combat risers, but people either didn't know what that was or they thought they were something they weren't. Having a display that really outlines the product, that maybe shows off the product in use, that draws people in. And I would say along with the display, our primary sales tactic is just talking to people. And it's not from a, giving them the pitch place. Even though we do find ourselves saying the same thing over and over quite a bit. It's more of just communicating with people, making them feel at home, making them feel like they're welcome to look around as long as they want, or ask you questions if they need something answered. I would say those probably are the two most important things. I've seen plenty of other booths that they'll have their pitch. They'll have more of an aggressive, like, come here, this is what you want. This is what you need this in your game. Let me describe it to you. And that'll work. It will work, but not for everybody. And you're not going to get the same, I don't know, the same sort of like positive response, I think, from a sale as you do from somebody who found the product on their own, decided themselves that they wanted it, and felt comfortable enough with you to talk about it. And that's where you get, I think, also that word of mouth after the fact as well.
People tend to buy from people they like as well, right? So, like,
I think so. Yeah.
How much does the bright yellow shirt factor into your success too? I don't know if you remember, you had like a yellow kimono shirt thing on the first time he met you, and I was like, "Oh, I want to talk to that guy."
That's you would know better than I would. We really liked those. I'm trying to remember where they came from. Even that concept. Oh, there was a winter show we did a few years ago, Geek Craft Expo in Seattle. It's over Black Friday weekend, and it's a smaller con. We love it. If you ever get a chance to visit, it's a fantastic little, more of a craft fair than anything. But it's in it's in a hangar over Black Friday weekend. It's cold. And so they told us ahead of time, like, oh, you want to dress warm, but we didn't want to just wear jackets. We're like, oh, we're a nerd shop. We'll get, 3/4 sleeve sweaters basically and make them ourselves. And then that just turns into whatever it is. But I've gotten so off base with the original question. No, I do think though that's kind of the bright yellows and the exciting designs and everything. That just kind of harkens back to that drawing attention, getting people off of the walkways and getting them interested in your booth and talking to you.
Something that stood out in our experience seeing your booth that touches on what I think what you're talking about is your booth was cozy. It had natural wood. I recall there even being some greenery somewhere. I don't know if it was a real plant, but it was inviting and cozy. And then you guys were warm, receptive, happy to talk. The bright colors probably definitely factored into it. And it was, I just remember feeling like these people are chill because cons are chaotic. There's a lot of energy, a lot of people. So having, there's a reason that they have those quiet rooms where you can go to just get away. And so if you can find a quiet space that is also around kind people and it happens to be cozy, that's awesome. And if there's products there that are being sold, I'm going to take my time and look at them.
Yeah, 100%. We really wanted to create the atmosphere that we would want to see at a show. And we're big dorks. We did dozens of shows before we ever started selling. So we knew exactly what that atmosphere was. And we knew exactly what we liked to do when we went to those shows. We liked to find little reprieves, cozy sections of the con that we could go relax in. So yeah, creating a comfortable, welcoming environment in our booth definitely is something that we had in mind when we pursued it. And now I think even since you guys have been there, we've added a little bit more. I think there's nature sounds playing underneath one of the tables and even more greenery.
A humidifier too, probably.
Nice.
Cozy couch. Yeah.
Yeah, if only.
You mentioned energy, and I want to touch on that briefly because you've been in the nerdy craft space for how many years now?
For me, I would say probably about 4.5. For Kess, because of her previous business, it's closer to 10, almost 11 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what catches my interest is what you have found the vibes been like. What's the energy been like as, someone who's traveled around to different parts, of the United States? You've probably gone up to Canada once or twice, maybe. Or actually, no, that would be harder to sell products up in Canada.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. But what is the vibe like with these other crafters, these other small businesses that you have found?
That's actually something we really appreciate from this hobby. Not just the hobby, the field, I guess is the better way to say it. There's no atmosphere of competitiveness. There's no real cutthroat practices that you meet all these other businesses at these shows and you just get along. You're sharing interests. You're even if you're competing for customers, even if you have very competitive products, everybody's very nice. Everybody's very welcoming. We've gotten some of our best advice from businesses that I would consider competitors than direct competitors. It's just such a welcoming, open community of businesses. Yeah, it's really impressive. It's something that we appreciate. There's no hard feelings.
Why do you think that is?
That's tough. I think there's the sense that a rising tide lifts all boats. When everybody's doing well, it just brings more interest into that type of product. And there is a limit to that. Obviously, you see too many crochet booths at a fair, it gets a little tough. They're really starting to compete for sales. But I also think it's the type of people who are drawn to do what we do in this particular field. I think they just tend to be very friendly people. If you're the sort of person that's a cutthroat entrepreneur and you're there for the money and to shut people out and carve out your niche, create a monopoly, those sort of things, you don't sell at Comic-Cons. You're working in other fields, and not because we can't make money. It's just not, I think, what those people are drawn to. I think people who sell in our field are people who sell because they have a passion for their hobbies and what they sell. And that's not something that anybody wants to keep to themselves.
You mentioned getting some really good advice from people who were maybe other vendors or especially maybe the earlier stages of your business. What are some of the best pieces of advice you got in your first few years of business, maybe from other vendors or through the experience of actually going to cons?
Yeah. We've had some very actionable advice. We've had people that give us their suppliers. So, something as simple as that. In fact, who we use for the companies we use to source our plywood for our products that's a company that we got a recommendation for from another laser engraving company that was right next to us at a show a little over a year ago. So there's things as specific as that. But also, I would say we've gotten a lot of advice about how to react to the outcome of certain shows. We've had some shows go really well, but we've also had some shows, and everybody has, that were really bad for whatever reason. In fact, we had a show almost exactly a year ago. It was Fan Expo in Portland, and it snowed over the weekend. It's Portland. Nobody's used to that. They don't have snow plows. Nobody's going out. Businesses are closed. Over the weekend, I think they were expecting to have, I'm spitballing. I think they were expecting to have somewhere in the range of 60 to 80,000 people attend. I think in the end, they maybe saw 5,000.
Oof.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate but abysmal experience. But, talking to other vendors and whatnot, and you have a lot of time to talk to other vendors when there's nobody there. We got some great advice about, don't put all your hopes into one show. This is going to happen. Kind of build in over the course of a year. Say you're doing 12 shows, expect one of them to go bad, and just build that into your expectations. You're not going to know which show it is, but things like that. Things mostly what we would have eventually learned from experience, but getting a little bit of insight from other companies is really helpful.
Yeah, well, planning for contingencies, especially weather. Like, I don't think it's something that people would expect. Like, I'm in Vancouver, so if we get snow, we get shut down too. Even though it's Canada, this is the one city in Canada where if it snows, nobody's leaving their house, right? And so I get that, and you won't know that it's going to happen. But those kind of things come up, and all of a sudden, if you don't have contingencies or built-in backup plans into your business plan, then you're just asking you're just asking for failure, or to have those things affect you more. How do you build out for those kind of things? Is it just like, okay, our budget for shows is this much, and we are going to pad it by having extra savings? Or is there other stuff that you do in order to kind of account for those kind of potential losses or acts of Sauron,
I like that. I like that. I guess really a lot of it really comes down to managing your expectations, because even when you have a bad show, I don't think that financially, even with the example I gave from last year, it was abysmal showing. I don't think financially we ended up under. I think that we just about broke even. So there's not this huge sense of, I guess, taking a risk. And this is something we discovered over the last couple of years, but even when a show goes bad, you're not really risking your own money. You're risking the hopes of what you would have made, and how you would have used that money to reinvest into the business or whatnot. So a lot of it just comes down to managing expectations and being okay with breaking even on a show. But then that, I think, also leads into picking the events you do fairly carefully. We have our own kind of thresholds behind the scenes where we're like, okay, if we're not making this much percent of our cost, then we probably won't reapply next year. That sort of thing. If we don't make twice what it costs to go, is it worth the risk of a bad show? That sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know if that fully answers your question.
It kind of does. I mean, I appreciate that it's more than just having extra savings, because there that might be what people were, at least that's what I was thinking prior to you saying that. When you think about the overall year of shows, it's kind of like, is it just sort of like, okay, we've spent this much on shows and we made this much at shows, and that's kind of the final number to look at this and say, oh, we were doing well? Or and is there anything that you look at beyond just the total sales and return for a show to be brought back in, or is there other factors you think about with a show?
So as to the first part of your question, yeah, we like to look at a year together, at the very least a quarter together, to really get a sense of how we're doing overall, being profitable, doing the shows and everything. Looking at individual shows there's just so many factors at play that start to even out when you kind of broaden that timescale. As to the second part of your question, there are definitely factors when we look at whether or not we want to do a show or continue doing a show, besides just how much we made from that event. There's networking opportunities you get at some events that you just don't see as much as at others. For example, PAX West, where we met you two. Fantastic event for networking. It was a financially fantastic event for us as well. But even if it hadn't been, we would have continued doing it every year, because not only did we meet you two, which is fantastic, and we've really enjoyed communicating with you. I want to say there had to have been almost 6 or 7 other potential business partnerships or large-scale custom orders, or people looking for cooperative product manufacturing opportunities that kind of just appeared really organically at that show that we haven't seen at any of our other events. So that's definitely one thing that we keep in mind is long-term opportunities. And then another is honestly just how much we enjoyed the event. There's I was mentioning there's the Black Friday show that we do in Seattle every year, Geekcraft Expo. That show, it's good. We make some money on it. It's not huge, but it's over Black Friday. People are coming to buy gifts for the holidays. It's a good show, but the atmosphere at the show is so happy and friendly, and everybody's having a great time. It's so well organized. The organizers for that show are phenomenal at how they handle load in, load out, advertising, their opportunities within the show. They have auctions and scavenger hunts for customers. All these things come together to create this really incredible experience that goes beyond just the financial return. And it's something we look forward to every year, even though it's not it's not our most profitable event, but it's probably our favorite.
The Geek Craft one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've heard about that from a couple of people who are in the Portland area, because they all say like, oh, that show, that's an awesome show. We love it.
It's an awesome show.
Wow. Well, and there are things that we've heard from other vendors that say, well, certain shows, they can be like, there are things that can be real headache logistically even, and that can be a big factor in coming back to a show, or even just how far away it is, or how the vendors were treated, or et cetera, or whatever, those kind of things. And so it can be there can be other factors beyond just the sales that make or break whether or not you want to participate, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. We've had some shows that the sales were fine, but the way that they treated the vendors, the way it was organized, we'll never touch it again. And so it goes, like I said, far beyond just the profitability of an event.
Like Ryan points out, it isn't easy running a successful booth at conventions. There's a lot of work and thought that goes into it. But I'm still super impressed with theirs. It looks inviting and feels cozy. If you can, you should check them out and take notes. Our guest Ryan from Hexwood Forge goes on to share more lessons from running booths at conventions, how they navigate the complicated landscape of manufacturing goods in their garage, and how they manage to run a business with their partner. You can get the entirety of this conversation with him over on our Patreon at patreon.com/nerdpreneur. Head on over, and for just $5 a month, you'll get the entirety of this interview and more than 30 other full interviews. Get that over on patreon.com/nerdpreneur. All right, now back to the interview with Ryan from Hexwood Forge. Okay, Ryan. So this is where it gets really serious. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. This gets less serious and more fun. Okay. Do you have a D100 handy?
I do. It's right over here. Give me just a sec. Gotta get my big dice bag.
Are these metal chonky dice?
Oh, there's everything in here. All right, let's see.
The Goblin's loot bag.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Dice Goblin's loot bag.
All right, D100. I got it ready.
All right.
Nice.
Go for it.
All right. That is a 97.
Woo! Oof. Now, is AI going to take over humanity?
Oh, wow. I thought you said this was supposed to get less serious.
That made me pause when I read that.
Oh, man. God, I hope so, man. I'm so ready.
That dead internet that I've heard about, bring on the dead internet.
Oh, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm pretty sick of how we're running things.
Oh, man. Okay, a little too political right now, maybe, but I did just see that Trump passed a bill for $500 billion to go into the private sector for AI development. So it might be taking over at least America.
He's investing in
that changes my answer. 100% it's happening now.
Yeah. Investing in someone to take over his job.
Yeah, right.
Oh, jeez. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, let's roll another D100. Move on to something.
Only if this one's going to be fun.
Hopefully, right?
All right. Here's one. Do you have a tabletop pet peeve?
Oh, I do, and it's not a good one. I hate when people are on their phones during the game. I hate that.
Absolutely agree.
But that's tough because I know brains are different. Some people need to have something, they're fiddly, but I can't stand it.
I get it, man.
And I see so many products you could make out of that one pet peeve. It's like you could get a little no phones placard or something that's got a little thing like that. No phones at the table, or no phones on this adventure or something. Or you could even have one of those fidget things that you just say in place of a phone, you use this fidget thing.
That's good too.
Like those phones you give to toddlers to make them feel like they're also, talking on the phone.
That's so good.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would have gone for like one of those, what were they called? They're like the old like plastic hands on a stick that you kind of like can use to hit things. It's like a fly swatter, but it's a hand. But I want it
straight to shock collar.
Yeah, I would want it.
Plastic hands.
Yo, yeah, you like that phone? Now it's broken. Take that. At my table, you pay attention to the story.
Or a lockbox that everyone puts their phone in, and they have to discover the key to unlock it during the adventure.
You go home without your phone. Yes. I keep your phone.
I mean, you used to be a teacher, so doesn't this just tie in?
It does. Weirdly, I was a lot more cool with kids in my classes playing on their phones than I am with people at my D&D table.
Yeah. I think we can all relate to that one.
Somebody else's kid. Right. It's not exactly, it's different.
I didn't create the lesson plan. I don't care if you pay attention, but I spent 4 hours building this encounter, and I'll be damned if you're on your phone.
Totally agree. Go ahead and roll one more.
All right.
We'll do two more.
Oh, okay. 82.
82. What is something that is really popular now, but in 5 years, everyone will look back on and be embarrassed by?
Oh, I'm stuck up on what's popular now. I'm so not cool.
I know. All I can think of are fidget spinners.
Yeah, those are pretty old now at this point, though, aren't they?
Exactly.
That's kind of an old thing.
I feel like using a physical phone.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
We used to have to.
I think it's going to be voting.
Voting.
5 years from now, people are going to be like, "Oh, that was fine. Whatever. What a fad." No, too political.
Yeah, I think that's my fault. I opened the floodgates.
That's a tough one. I don't know that I have an answer.
We can do a different one.
Yeah, we might have to.
We could plus one it because the plus one it. Yeah.
What time period would you want to travel to, and what handheld item do you want to take with you?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so in college I was a Italian histories minor. So there's a huge part of me that Italian Renaissance, straight to Florence, 1425, 1430, and just watch it play out. Take a camera, just
yes.
Is that like the Assassin's Creed 2 generation?
It is, yeah, it actually is.
Like with Ezio and all that, because that was the best one in my opinion. I love that one.
That actually came out while I was in one of those classes. I remember thinking, like, this is pretty sick. I could just go visit the things I'm learning about in class right now and kill people there, which. Of course, awesome.
Heck yeah. I mean, you're studying history. What else is happening? People are dying.
Yeah, just the environments is so cool. So cool.
Right.
And the accents. Everybody is so Italian. And it's
awesome. I know.
It's crazy. There's so much Italian in Italy.
But it's a fun accent. It is.
It really is. It's a gorgeous language.
Yeah.
I learned... I don't remember as much of it, but I did learn Italian when I was in college. And it's just a gorgeous language.
The food's pretty good too, actually.
You can't go wrong with pizza. Come on. Pizza, lasagna,
and gnocchi and all that. Oh, so good.
Okay, so next question: what is your favorite pasta noodle shape?
Oh, this is you're trying to get me canceled, is what you're doing.
In Italy,
I put pineapple on my pizza. Oh. I gotta say tortellini.
That's
tortellini,
a stuffed one.
The king of pastas. It's that and
so
ravioli.
An Italian dumpling. All right.
Yeah. I mean, is that a shape? Is that at that point? Is it even qualify?
No, you definitely polarized some people with that answer. Like, it's not a pasta.
I don't know.
People,
I mean, am I backdooring cheese into my answer? Yeah, 100%. Anything with cheese is going to be better.
It's so true. Cheese is just good. Period. End of story. All right, roll one more, please.
All right, this will be the
All
last.
right. And that is 70.
70s, hanging out around the 70s. All right.
I know, I'm rolling really high.
Well, what would you name your pet beholder?
Oh, I actually have an answer for this, and it's going to get in the way of me thinking of a different answer. Because I have, in the next campaign that we're running, there's a beholder that runs a bar. Because he's a beer holder.
Oh,
I know. I don't remember what his name is, but he's a beer holder. Oh man, I think it would have to be something ridiculous, right? You can't name him like Ortholax, the seven-eyed Cretan. You got to name him something like Jimmy. It's got to be something.
Vince or Vinny.
Vince, yeah. Vince, make him a mafia accent. You know?
Bring him back to Italy again, right?
Yeah. You gotta. You
walk
gotta
into
move
my
down
bar.
that path. We're gonna explore it till the end.
One of his eyes turns you into tortellini.
What kind of tortellini? We don't find out. So okay. But the beer holder, I guess, turns people into beer. Different types of beer, which is going to go over great on the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's such a thing around here. Yeah.
It is. Well, thank you for indulging us with that. We're going to move on to our last section here, rapid fire. These are quick and silly questions, and based on your answers, we will tell you if you are right or if you are wrong. First up, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Ooh, Star Trek. I had to think about it.
That's the correct answer. Good job.
All right. Who's the best captain then in Star Trek?
I mean, Picard's the easy answer. He made it what it is, but Janeway, she's up there. That's really good stuff.
Yeah, good answer for her too.
I'm going to stick in this vein. One more question. Who is the best number one?
Oh. Don't make me do this. Don't make. Oh, and you know what? And now I'm going to blank on the name. I love Next Gen. Why am I blanking on his name? Riker. Thank you. Yeah, I love Riker. If you can't sit in a chair right, you're just going to... I can't say anybody else. That's perfect.
Awesome. That's awesome. I loved how that didn't even really become a thing until the internet came along. Like no one really noticed it in the show. Like I never heard anyone talk about it once in the decade or so that I watched that. And then the internet shows up and all of a sudden it became this meme. I love it. Wow.
Oh no. Riker for sure, I think was my favorite. That is just, I don't know. He just had like a fun energy.
He had a big personality. It worked out.
Yeah.
It was a great contrast with Picard. Like, you get Picard, the thinking, peace-talking, politically minded archaeologist, and you get Riker, who's like, Worf, we're going down to the surface. Come with me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a doer in more ways than one.
Yeah.
All right. What's your zombie apocalypse weapon of choice?
Oh. Sword? It's got to be sword, right?
I mean, it's your choice.
I'm going to run out of ammo with any. I'm not a great shot. I'm going sword.
Sword. All right.
Nice. Now, wrong answers only on this one. Why didn't Frodo ride the eagles all the way to Mordor?
He's scared of heights.
Mm-hmm. How many cats is too many cats?
Oh. You guys are really trying to get me in trouble.
Do you have a lot of cats?
We've got 2, and I think that is pushing it.
That is pushing it. I would say it's pushing it by 2 too many.
Oh, not a cat person?
I mean, they're okay. I grew up with cats, so I know them. That's why.
That's
Knows
me. No, we're both dog people, but we just keep having cats wander up and be like, we live here now.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny. Once you accept one cat into your house, there is more that will be there. That happened to my family too. They wound up getting a cat, and then people just kept giving us cats. It was we wound up with 3 by the end, and I was like, that was way too many cats.
Yeah, it's two is I would never want to go more than 2.
What show was canceled too soon?
Firefly. Easy.
Ready.
That's
ready.
Done.
What's the best Weird Al parody?
Oh. I listened to so much Weird Al as a kid. Amish? What was the Amish one?
Amish Paradise.
Amish Paradise. That's it. That's the one that always sticks in my head.
That's awesome. That is a good acceptable answer for that. Absolutely.
I'll take it.
Which Harry Potter hit you the most?
Movie or book?
Let's go with book.
Book. I'm going to say 4.
4
4 is where shit got real.
Goblet of Fire, right?
Yeah.
Goblet of Fire. Yeah,
Okay.
that's Cedric dies and
Spoilers.
Voldemort comes back and movies. The last one I think got me the 7.2 whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's the best Spider-Man actor?
Oh, Andrew Garfield. Love
Come on,
Andrew
really?
Garfield.
Really?
I love Andrew Garfield. Tom Holland's fantastic. I love Tom Holland. He does a great job. He's a fantastic person. Andrew Garfield, there was something about it that just felt so perfectly Spider-Man.
I agree.
All right. Well, agree to disagree
I got one
on
of you,
that
lost
one.
one of you. All right. Well, what's yours, Chris?
Tobey Maguire is still my top Spider-Man. I know that's a shocking answer to some people, but we've had a lot of people say Tobey on this podcast.
It is surprising how many
That's
people
the
agree with
answer
him.
for sure.
You're I want to say the first person to say Andrew Garfield we've had on. So
I've been counting.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
This is the main reason Frank wanted you on the pod, I think.
Yeah, we connected.
This is a Garfield guy.
Yeah. And not the lasagna kind of Garfield.
Oh, no. Oh, we're bringing it back to Italian again.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look. Yeah, that happened. Huh. So I've seen some Pokemon stuff. Which one's your favorite Pokemon? I don't know. And I don't know if it's on one of your products.
I don't think it is. Dragonite. I love Dragonite. Or Dratini. It's honestly the whole evolution line. Love it.
All right.
3 favorite pizza toppings.
Ooh. Onions. Jalapenos. Feta.
Ooh.
Wait. Got to get that cheese in there, right?
Yeah.
That's
Saltiness.
the white sauce right there.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
good.
You got the salty, the spicy. Oh, that sounds good. What is your favorite TV show right now?
Right now? Oh. We just finished the first season of Dan to Dan. Have you guys seen any of that? It's a new anime that came out. It's good. It's really good. It's weird. It's so weird.
Well, I am not super up to date on my anime, but I watch like one anime a year.
Yeah.
And this year it was Blue Eyed Samurai, which I really enjoyed. But like other than that, I
still need to
probably
watch that.
won't. Oh, it's great. I really enjoyed it. I don't watch many, but I always watch one a year. So you're saying that one's really good. Maybe I'll check it out.
It's good. It's good. We really like it.
What's the best Dorito flavor?
Cool Ranch.
That is so. He was on it. That's the right answer.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, it doesn't look like you agree.
I was actually taken aback by in our list here, we have many questions. And one of them though is just Dune.
Dune. Oh,
Chris just
Dune.
At some point just maybe was starting a question because Chris loves Dune, but I don't know if it was me or if it got deleted somehow, but I love how the question is just Dune.
Dune. You can really tell a person by
Yeah. So my question to you is Dune?
Dune. That's my answer. Dune.
Excellent. Well said.
Nailed it.
All right. Is there any subscription you can't live without?
I'm basic. It's Netflix. I love my Netflix. Netflix.
Right.
Although having a Spotify subscription, I don't know that I could go back to listening to commercials with my music. Yeah.
I'm the same with YouTube. I was one of when YouTube Premium came around, I got on there like they were doing a huge promotion where it's like, you get 6 months free if you sign up today. And you don't have to pay for 6 months because it was something in Canada. I think they were like, we got to get a bunch of people all at once. And I have been paying for it ever since then. It was just the fact I could close the app and there's no ads. I loved it.
Yeah.
He is so he has such aristocracy about it whenever he talks about his YouTube. It's like, oh, Frank, you still have regular commoners, peasants YouTube? And I'm like, I get an ad blocker, dude. Back off.
And your algorithm works just as well?
It's great. Yes.
People come over when we have a party. They're always like, how does your YouTube play such great music all the way through? And it's like, you know why? It's because I pay for it and they know a party is happening right now. They know. Are
we sponsored? Is this sponsored right now?
Dialed in. I wish I had an affiliate link.
Yeah, what's a subscription you can't live without? And then we just hold up a sign of what you have to say.
Well, this is why I like this question, because I swear there are subscriptions out there that people are obsessed with. So we'll sell other ones if they're as good as YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you read many books? Like, what's the last 3 books you read?
Oh, I used to read all the time. Just been so busy. Last 3 books I read. Let's see. Just finished. Read The Hobbit again for the 22nd time, probably.
Oh wow!
Fantastic book.
It is.
Right before that, Picture of Dorian Gray. That's one of my all-time favorites. And before that, Great Expectations.
Interesting.
I'm part of a book club. It's not. I'm not like. I don't have my pinky up when I'm picking out books.
I was like, who's calling me pretentious? All right.
Yeah, I'm part of a classics book club. Otherwise, I'd be reading Animorphs still.
But so you're rereading these books. Is it just because you like to go back to what's familiar, or?
No, it's the book club. Everybody, there's 8 of us or so in the book club, and everybody has a month. They pick a book, and everybody reads it and gets together.
I see.
We're trying to get through the classics.
Okay.
I always like to ask successful nerdy entrepreneurs like yourself if you have any final words of wisdom or encouragement for other aspiring nerdy entrepreneurs as they are going and listening to this, going on their nerdpreneur journey.
Sure. My big piece of advice, it's not worth it if you're not having fun.
I love that. Have fun, love what you do, carry that through to a business that you love too.
And that's going to make everything else come together. If you can pull together a business that you are having fun, everything else will work out.
Amazing. Well, Ryan, if people want to find Hexwood Forge, buy some of the stuff that you got, or even just support you guys on Instagram or wherever, where can they find you?
Hexwoodforge.com. We just launched our own website a few months ago, way later than we should have, but it's there. Hexwoodforge.com. That's links to everything else are there. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Discord now, and that's a great place to find all of our products.
Are you going to any events coming up?
We've got one this weekend. We're Fan Expo in Portland again. Then next month, Anime Washington. Month after that, Emerald City Comic Con. That's a big one.
And we'll link to your website in the show notes as well. You actually have a bunch of those things all listed on your website. It's a great website, by the way. So
thank you.
Go check it out if you're listening. And thanks a lot for coming on the show and chatting with your business and giving us all those insights. It was awesome.
Thanks for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, Nerdpreneurs. And as always,
keep it nerdy.